What's up, guys? Welcome into Fourth and Wrong Daily. It is the daily version of our new podcast, Fourth and Wrong. I'm your host, Chris Marler, and I'm joined by a very special guest today, Michael W. Bratton, which I have to remember every time I try to tag you on something in Twitter, which seems like every day. How you doing, man?
You said someone special? Is there someone else coming on?
Yeah, cousin Shane.
Cousin Shane.
He's running behind. He's at Piggly Wiggly getting the 12 pack. So I'm just waiting.
Wait a second. You're doing a daily SEC. That'll never work.
I'm literally trying to ride it off your coattails.
Especially when the guest cancels on you an hour before you're supposed to start.
This wasn't my fault. You misunderstood the exact thing we're trying to do. We're not going to get into this right now because we have 6 people watching, and that's the highest audience I've ever had. So screw you, Mike.
Wait, did you tag me on it? I need to retweet it.
Yeah, you probably should. No, it's just live. We have several questions that have come in, mainly one from Pat CFB that says, "Why did you block me?" Which is a good question.
Who now?
Pat CFB. Pat is a Georgia fan.
CFB Pat.
I'm sitting the link right now.
The only people I block are people that do like fake news that are like trying to be like Adam Schefter, but they like change a letter. Those are the people that I block just because I think it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, I honestly, I just sent you the link. Do you remember when we used to have this happen at STS when people would make fake quote graphics? But
that's why I had to do it, because that was my job to report the news. And if I ever saw a fake one, I always had them blocked. The people we worked with, they're stupid enough. They're like, we got to post this. And I'm like, I have that account blocked, so I know it's fake. Yeah. I mean, there was logic behind it.
That makes sense. What's up, Jeff Williams? By the way, you know more than anyone how hard I work on making graphics and how excited I get about getting in Canva and doing stuff like this.
If you're that excited about it, why do you have a error in every one?
First off, fuck you. It's a typo usually. It's because I can't spell. It's because I have ADD. Do you see the very first comment of the entire night from ECB04 Knowles?
Where can I see the? Oh, yeah, exactly. Perfect. That's exactly what I said when I logged on here. I mean, Chris, you're supposed to be a graphic designer.
I'm not sure. Okay, that's not fair. Oh, my man. I got some. This is from somebody else in the country now. Jeff Williams sent me this keychain and these what do you call it? Not koozies. What are they called? Croquis. So I can put these on my actual glasses. So thank you for that, sir. All right, let's get into the topic tonight. I appreciate you joining us.
Is that your bed right there?
No, I'm in the guest room.
I see a bed and I see a little chalkboard that is, you can't even read it. I don't even know why it's up.
Well, not all of us are famous like you, Mike. So I do love that it's way too small in the background. Also, this one lone video setup that is also
there has definitely been porno shot in that house based on that camera location.
Probably not. Probably, I will say. Okay, let's get into today's topic, man.
What is the topic?
To you off air beforehand, because I know it's the team that you're really big on, or really.
I ignore all your texts, by the way.
I know, yeah, for sure. Again, that's why President Shane's going to come on, and you and Feinbaum can go to Dave & Buster's and do whatever you do on Wednesday nights together. So.
Oh wait, hey, can I break some news? This for your exclusive for your audience here. Speaking of,
is it you retweeting the actual broadcast or not?
I did. I believe. I thought I did.
Anyway,
did I not?
What's the breaking news?
Cousin Shane is going to be on Feinbaum on Friday. So
love it.
That's pretty big for us.
Wait, so are you going to be on there? You're on there every Friday, right?
Not every Friday, but yeah, this is Cousin Shane solo.
Oh, nice. Okay, good deal, man.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he is he's such a good dude in general, for one, but he also is he's every fan. He's every fan, and it's awesome to see him get because I tell you what, it's hard to go on a show like that, especially, and be comfortable in your own skin, because Paul can be super intimidating, and it's awesome watching him kind of take off from the show, because it's I don't mean this in a bad way, and I think he would admit it. You guys, he's just a normal dude. He's just a normal dude, like all of us are, and just loves college football. And now he's leaned into this whole thing, and it's been awesome to watch, man. It's been awesome to watch.
Now he's been on the show one time before, but it was not really televised. It was during the SEC basketball tournament, and we believe that was like a trial run to where they cannot put this man on the air. But if he did well, which he did, they gave us the video.
Yeah.
It's on our YouTube. Go check it out. But yeah, he crushed it. So I'm very excited for Cousin Shane.
Yeah, man, I love that. Okay, let's get into just today's topic. Like I said, it's Fourth and Long Daily. It's usually a 15, 20-minute show, depending on how long-winded I am. But we're talking about a team today that I think in the past, if you talked about this team, it would be like a channel changer, right? Like people are like, I don't really give a shit about Mizzou. You've been very high on Mizzou. If I listen to our podcast, I say all the time, I've said it for years. One of my best friends grew up in St. Charles, Missouri, big Mizzou fan. Love talking about Mizzou. I feel like they don't get enough credit, never have. But Mizzou going into last season, the question I posed to you was this: who could be this year's Mizzou? And your response to me off air was maybe it's Mizzou. And I want to break that down, but also say just from a context standpoint. What I mean by this is Mizzou went into last season with all these weapons in place, right? They ended up with 6 draft picks. They had Luther Burden, who is, I think one of the best receivers in the country, and Brady Cook was one of the best quarterbacks in the conference all season long. Going into last season, when we were in Nashville for media days, they were voted 6th. They were predicted to finish 6th in the SEC East, and they had the 12th fewest amount of votes for where they would finish in the conference. So who's a team that you think maybe could start is being, I guess, dismissed as badly and egregiously as they were last year, but could go to a point this season where they are competing for, a New Year's Six Bowl, or now this season a potential spot in the playoff?
I think it's the Florida Gators. The problem is they got Billy Napier still as their head coach, but they've got some nice pieces where it doesn't sound like the defense made huge strides this spring. We'll see what they do in fall camp, but I'm serious. I mean, I think Eugene Wilson, he was excellent as a freshman. I think he'll be even better as a sophomore. Graham Mertz was someone myself and many had as the worst quarterback, at least starting quarterback in the SEC. He was, he wasn't elite, but he was probably right in the middle, maybe 7th, 8th. And if he takes, this is year 2 for him under Billy Napier, if he takes a leap forward, DJ Lagway, of course. But it really is, it's about that defense, whether they can, and I know everybody looks at the schedule and say, by God, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah. I think Florida's going to be 5-0 to start the season. And then they go to Tennessee and they own Tennessee. So I don't think it's completely unrealistic for them to be 6-0 starting out.
So I would just think that's not the team I would have picked, but I would say, I do think that we've gotten to a point where we've almost come like, not full circle maybe, but like we've been talking about Billy Napier and his job security and how bad Florida can potentially be since the start of last summer, right? Like that schedule came out a year ago and you're like, dude, you have 11 of your 12 games against Power 5 opponents. By the way, the one team that's not a Power 5 opponent is Samford, and they put up 52 on you in the Swamp the last time you guys played. So if you're looking at it from a situation of like who can really shock the world, I think Florida is a worthy pick. I don't know, because that schedule, man, it really is brutal. I don't disagree about September though. And Graham Mertz, as you said, Graham Mertz was a top, I think, half of the league. I think he was easily in the top half of the league in terms of quarterback play. But Andrew C in the comments says, how pissed will Marler get if I say Bama is this year's Mizzou? Probably pretty mad. I think there was a while there when Mertz first started out for the season, he looked like a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but everybody looks at his completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, and they get enamored. Again, I know I'm talking him up, but I mean he's captain like dink and dunk, and I don't even know if that was him. It's probably Billy because they didn't trust the offensive line to pass block. But and another thing, they lose Trevor Etienne. That's obviously a big blow, but I think they're pretty talented at running back with Johnson. And then someone that we didn't get to see last year that they were wowed with, they got a running back named Carroll. He was a transfer from Tulane. I believe he blew out his knee in fall training camp. So he's back. They had a true freshman named Webb who was really good last year. He'll be a sophomore. So, again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I think ETN, someone we were talking about all SEC teams. We were putting those together already, and the only obvious selection at running back for us was ETN at Georgia. So again, that is a blow, but it's not like, in my opinion, as long as these guys can stay healthy in Gainesville, I truly don't think their running back room is like decimated because they lost him.
Well, and you heard what ETN said earlier in the offseason when he was talking about why he went to Georgia, and he was like, I went from being the number 2 running back at Florida to the number 1 running back for a team that could play for the national championship. Like, now, maybe this is the biggest eval miss of college football this year, and Napier had no clue what he was doing, but like, you want to think that Napier knows a little bit about what he's doing. It's probably how he got the job, as much of the shitty situation that he inherited. I'm going to give you a couple other ones, and you tell me on a scale of 1 to 6.9. Okay? Actually, you know what? Let's just go big here. 1 to 69. You tell me where you would rank this team's chances of being this year's Mizzou, because I think there's a couple that make most sense to me. I'll tell you the one that makes the absolute most sense to me. And again, based off of the criteria being Mizzou was projected to finish 6th in the East last year. They were the 12th team overall in the entire conference in terms of like votes that they got at media days. I think Auburn is going to be night and day from where they were a year ago. And you talk about because of the receivers and the skill position players they're bringing in. Like they took Bama and Georgia down the wire. Now, that being said, which I know they love to hang their hats on that, they got their ass beat at home by New Mexico State by 21. New Mexico State not on the schedule this year, which is a wise move. I mean, I just feel like we've seen this, and I could do a deep dive on it later this week. Maybe I should have before the show. But that required me being committed to this job. Cam Coleman coming in and being that highly rated.
Who's the last true freshman to come into this league and dominate it with a below average quarterback?
Was it Leo?
Did he have a below average quarter? And that was what, 20 years ago? Nearly?
Jesus Christ, 16. We're old.
That's the case in point. I mean, if he's Julio Jones, which is that last time I checked, Chris, that's a high bar. Yeah, they'll be good. If he's not, I don't think so. No, I don't understand the Auburn love. Hugh Freeze is not an elite coach.
I agree with that. I agree that he's not an elite coach, but I do think that the name of the whole game is getting people and dudes to play at your school. It's like Jimmy's and Joe's, not X and O's, that kind of stuff. And I do feel like he can do like the X and O's part as well. I thought he underwhelmed last year. I thought he did a really bad job of, like, they went out and paid $390,000 for Peyton Thorne, and that is great for Peyton Thorne. He looked like shit for most of the year. He was good in the run game, which is probably what he did best. And here's the thing too, Cam Coleman, I think is like, I think he is going to be the leader in the receiving core. I think he's going to be really good and as advertised as what we've heard in spring practice. If he's not, and he's not like some like alien that's going to come out and just go for 120 a game and 2 touchdowns and like be able to go up against elite SEC defenders. If he's not, you still have Perry Thompson, another 5-star. They went and got the kid from Penn State who was the number 1 receiver in the portal. I think they added such quality. You want to say depth, but like those are legit starters. I think could potentially come in and take some of the stuff away from him if he is not as advertised. But I expect him to be.
Well, I don't know if you caught it or not. Let me plug my show real quick here. We had Neil McCready on in studio from Rebel Grove. He covers Ole Miss. He's covered Hugh Freeze. He said something that I thought was fascinating. I'm just interested to hear if you would agree or not. Hugh Freeze should have stayed at Liberty because he would have a better path to the college football playoff at Liberty. And you got to keep in mind the non-Power 5 gets an automatic bid to this now. So that was perfect for him. He can dominate that G5 league. He gets all these cast-offs. Now he's at Auburn where, again, the expectation is playoff or bust. And there's about 8 teams in this conference that are playoff or bust. I think Hugh screwed up.
I don't disagree with that take. Now, the one thing I will say too, though, for Auburn is they do have a rich history of being able to be very measured and patient with how they handle coaching hires and extensions and firings, especially. And you
mentioned, they pushed Bama and Georgia to the wire, which is, they're saying it in the comments as well. But what happens when those games are on the road historically?
Oh, it's a blowout.
Right. And that's this year. Both, right? Both of them. So, And that's before going to Mizzou, which hell, we're saying here, who's going to be this year's Mizzou? Mizzou's going to be just as good, if not better. They go to Kentucky. They host Oklahoma. I mean, there's some tough ass games for Auburn.
Yeah, and I do think that, again, we're talking about a Mizzou team though that I believe had a losing record the year before. 2 years ago, I know they played Army or Navy in like some bullshit.
They never had a winning record under Drink, and then last year they won 11.
Right. So I do think from like a turnaround standpoint. Here's the other thing too. We've seen this in the past with Hugh Freeze. I've talked about it. Evan Grimes has heard me talk about it probably multiple times on our show. With Hugh Freeze, it's not just that he's turned programs around. He's been able to do it pretty quickly in terms of like he was at Arkansas State. Arkansas State is a place that didn't really have a lot of success at like in any season. I don't think they had a winning season since 1995. They had one in like the previous 18 or 23 years, and it was a 6-5 year in like 1995. He's there in year one. They win 10 games. He goes to Ole Miss. They had one combined SEC win in the 2 years prior to him getting there. Year one, he wins 3 SEC games, goes to a bowl game. I think that kind of stuff is important, but it's also something we didn't see last year. Like he had things in front of him that they could have had a very successful season, and because of him, he dropped the ball. I did not love what I saw from him in the after the regular season when they laid an egg against Maryland against a backup quarterback, and they're like, "Well, this game didn't matter. I was recruiting." Like that's very weird to say publicly. But again, I'll say this: I think from a drastic turnaround standpoint, there's somebody that I would throw in there. The two others that we'll talk about real quick, both from the former SEC East, right? Kentucky and Tennessee. Kentucky fits the description a little bit better because Kentucky,
how dare you put Tennessee in? If Tennessee's a playoff contender, brother.
Okay, are they?
Yes. Have you ever heard of this guy named Nico?
I'm going to record this on my phone and on this. So again, you have a chance to take an elite step up at the most important position in all of sports at quarterback with Nico. And I've said repeatedly, I hate the fact that Michael fucking Penix is drafted by the Falcons, but I think there's so much to be said for especially an elite talent, but there's so much to be said for a talented quarterback to come in and sit a year, learn the system, which is an intricate system that we've seen with Josh Heupel, and then come out and not be in a hurry to fail, because it's hard to compete in this league as a true freshman quarterback. Like I think Tennessee is very much so a playoff contending team.
I know. It sounds like you just. So how are they? This little run to the litter that could surprise. You're saying they're not going to be voted down. I mean, they're probably going to get. I'm trying to think. It's so screwy because there's no East and West. So I'm trying to do it in my head where they're going to be voted. They're probably going to be voted 6th or 7th, which I don't know if that fits your criteria, does it?
You didn't fit the criteria in the previous one, idiot. Now all of a sudden we're getting super literal with all the terms and agreements.
I said Florida. Florida's going to be voted 13th, maybe 14th.
Really? You could be no.
You're right. There's 16 teams. Who's going to get of 16? Vandy, Mississippi State, Arkansas. And then I think a lot of people are going to vote Florida right there.
Yeah,
I forgot South Carolina, and then probably Florida.
You think South Carolina will be worse? I think South Carolina could be.
I'm not saying they will be worse, but I think they will be voted worse, if that makes sense.
That's
a lot of those. No offense to any of our colleagues there at Media Days, but a lot of people just go off the damn logo.
Yeah. I mean, I mean it by offense from our colleagues there at Media Days.
And another thing, here's another pet peeve about it real quick. Again, the people that go to Media Days, that let's say that cover Alabama, nobody knows Alabama better than them. But they can't tell you shit about Kentucky. And like an LSU writer, they could barely tell you anything about Tennessee, and on and on and on. So the media poll, while I vote in it, it's kind of asinine that there's so much stock into it, given how little a lot of these people know about the entire league as opposed to just the school they cover, if that makes sense.
No, I completely agree. I didn't realize this until two years ago when I went, because it was the first. I mean, I've been to I think 4 or 5, and this is the first time I'd heard of it. But I mean, one, you bring up what you just said. Let's not forget that Vandy got 5 votes last year for whatever weird shit that was. But no, it was the fact that 2 years ago, I remember the day that Georgia was on, and it was in Atlanta, right? And I was like, there's a lot more people in today. I didn't realize how many people were just going for their day Like
Right.
they had no interest in covering the rest of the conference. Which always like you and me are a little bit different, I think, because like the league as a whole is so damn impressive and always is. But this idea of like just coming in, I just want to hear Bama talk. I mean, I'll say it on here because I'm not employed from SDS anymore and I work for myself now. But as Locked On SEC, Chris Gordy can confirm, I was too hungover to go to Bama. What do you call it? Press that morning. I didn't roll in until like 12:30 the next day. So yeah, man, just a rebel.
And then the next one, you miss like the first 2 days, right? Because the flights
and all that. Actually, it was the same one.
Okay.
But no, I see what you're saying too. I think that is something that really is frustrating because it's like there's not a lot of commitment outside of this little small beer in. All right, last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll get you out of here. Kentucky. I think that Kentucky should make this list just because, especially last year going into the season, I thought that was a team that had a lot of hype around it, more so than they deserved. And you know more than anyone that I've had my run-ins with Kentucky fans. But like getting Devin Leary, who I thought would be a lot better quarterback at that position, having all 5 of their top pass catchers back, and then kind of laying an egg, especially offensively a lot last season. Do you think Kentucky is a team that can come in this year with a new quarterback in Brock Vandagriff and just like a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, which I know Mark Stoops loves to have? How do you think Kentucky will fare this year?
No, hell no. I wouldn't even consider them. And they're one of the ones, Chris, with going away from divisions, it's going to hurt them the most. Because they go to Texas. They go to Ole Miss. Those are games they're picking up that they normally would be playing, Vanderbilt and South Carolina and all that. And they get Georgia early in the season. I'm not even sure week 2 they host South Carolina. They're a favorite in that game. I don't know that they should be. I mean, that's like a toss-up type game for me. So, and they go to Tennessee. There's just too many landmines for Kentucky. So I ain't buying it. I think losing Liam Cohen was a huge loss. Yeah. Even though, to your point, Devin Leary was, let's call it what it is. He was not kind good last year. I was trying to be kinder than you. But yeah, they thought he was going to be great. Everything I was hearing behind the scenes, they legitimately thought this guy was going to be like a Heisman contender. He was going to be that damn good. And he fell flat on his face. So, no, I'm not getting Brock Vandagriff, who's done nothing of significance. I think he'll be decent. I'm not saying he's bad, but how's he going to step in and just be awesome? I don't think so. But I got a more important question I want to ask to you, and I want you to be truthful because I know you're going to lie to cover your ass here. But do you think Nick Saban retired? I know this to be true in large part because the SEC is getting better around him, and he was terrified that his record would be tarnished. His, the GOAT status will be tarnished. We got Georgia has surpassed Alabama. Sarkisian whooped his ass. Now that's an SEC game. Heupel whooped his ass in Neyland Stadium. That's a tough one. Brian Kelly's coming. On and on. Lane Kiffin is going to get him, at some point. Hell, I think even Eli Drinkwitz better coach than Nick Saban. So did Nick Saban run away because he knew he was going to start losing a lot?
What I don't understand about this dynamic of our friendship is that every fucking time you do this, I know what you're doing, and all I got to do is not overreact, and I have the most difficult time doing it.
And I forgot about Hugh Freeze, who I just said, not a good coach. Auburn's awful. Yeah. They should have beat him, too. You see what I'm saying? Like, every damn game.
Yeah, and I think should have is like a thing that you really want
Texas A&M just hired a good coach, so they're going to start beating them. I mean, Jimbo was just awful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see any – the only like fracture in the armor of the entire argument is when you said that Kirby owns them. Because you could just throw out actual stats, or you could go back to less than.
I didn't say Kirby owned him. I said Kirby's program has surpassed him, and that's unquestionable. They lost
in Atlanta yet again. That makes sense. For sure. I totally get it. I think he was scared of Heupel for sure. I think he was very scared of like Joe Milton
and Nico.
Here's the thing that you will never choose to say because you hate Nick Saban, you hate Alabama. That's fine. But like last year was one of the best jobs we've seen, and I thought Kevin Steele was going to be awful. Tommy Rees was awful. Halftime adjustments, the stuff that we saw with like Saban that were so important years prior to that made him such a great coach. I thought he did a tremendous job last year. I would have left too. I wouldn't want to deal with all this bullshit.
Yeah, 10 NFL draft picks could barely beat South Florida. I mean,
I know.
That's an elite coaching job, no doubt.
Let's end the show with you
That's
saying,
an elite coaching job right there.
Let's end the show with you saying one positive thing about Nick Saban, about because he's or Jalen Miller. I'll take the other one because Jalen Miller was undefeated against SEC teams as a starting quarterback. I think people forget that's a real stat sometimes.
No, Texas is SEC now, brother.
Right, but when they played, they weren't. So he's undefeated against SEC teams.
Oh, okay. I would say that Nick Saban, I thought he did a heck of a job at covering the NFL draft and admitting publicly on air that Alabama cheats to try to get players to jump into the portal that had no desire to get in the portal, want to stay at Toledo, but forcing them, or at least trying to get them to get in the portal. He tried to do it with Tyler. Yeah, he had such confidence in Jalen Miller. He was trying to steal Miami's quarterback, trying to get him in the portal. And this was years after Nick Saban would just trash people in the media, and he would do no favors for people in the media down. He still hasn't done a press conference, Chris, announcing his retirement
from the media with the way that you've rewritten his entire history as a head coach the past couple
and now
years.
He's in the media. I mean, it's kind of two-faced, if you ask me. If you're going to treat people like that, and then you're going to join them.
For sure. All right, Mike, that was fun. I appreciate you coming on as always. I'll be on your show tomorrow night, maybe, or I might send Anthrax House. I don't know. Listen, Elon Musk, if you're watching this right now, that was a joke. Please not delete my 8th Twitter account. Don't need it.
I got some wood shavings heading your way.
Tell everyone where they can find you, even though I'm sure that everyone in the chat already knows. But I appreciate you coming on. We'll do this again soon.
Yeah, just search SEC Mike. That SEC podcast is the show, highest rated SEC show on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube is blowing up too. So come hang out with me. And if you liked any of this, Cousin Shane's 10 times better than me. So come hang out with us. We do a show daily too, except for when the guest cancels right before we're supposed to do it.
You're an idiot. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.